Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Kat and welcome to my channel. I do apologise for the glare on the acetate there, but I've got this little quick project that I did today. I'm in between projects. Well, I kind of started my second project, but I'm just at the very beginnings of it. So I'm just doing a few little quick projects and just some little piles that are on my desk of things that I wanted to attend to. So this little piece we've got here is something I had picked up op shopping, and it's this beautiful paper lace. I don't even know how old this would be, maybe 1920s, maybe earlier, I don't know. I'll hold it like that, sorry, so you don't get the glare. And it was really starting to come up, and I glued it down, and I just wanted to protect it. So I've come up with this bit of an idea because I wanted it in the journal. I don't have a journal project yet, but I just wanted to get it ready. And on the back, it's got this beautiful image as well, so I didn't want to just sort of put it in somewhere and stick it down and then lose that. So I wanted and I didn't want it as a cover either, so I wanted an ability to somehow tuck it into a journal. So I came up with this little method of slotting in, and down the track I can hinge something on the other side. So this is my little process video. It's a little voiceover as well, which is the first time I've done that. So it was interesting, but it worked. So I hope you enjoy the video, and we'll see you on the other side. Bye. So there's my vintage piece of ephemera. I grabbed some transparency film, which I was lucky enough to have picked up at one of my op shopping little expeditions. And I'm just playing around, and I'm trying to figure out what my measurements need to be, because I don't want to go to all this trouble and play around with this delicate piece of ephemera and then only find out that I've, not quite got my measurements correct. So I'm really spending time here just matching up my measurements and thinking about what allowances that I need for my width and my depth, and also I want to sew around it, so I need to allow some space for the footer of my sewing machine to travel around as I'm stitching, and then have the aesthetic looking right as well, that it just looks just cute in a piece of as a piece of ephemera in a journal. So I really am spending quite a bit of time here just measuring and thinking, making sure that I've got everything right. As they say, measure twice and cut once. So I'm getting confident in my measurements, so I make my first cut and I quickly do it so that I don't break my acetate. And then I realise that my second piece, when I want to do the width, I get my other cutting board. And again, I'm pretty confident at this point in time as to what my height needs to be. So again, just being careful, line up my pieces, make sure I've got my measurements correct. But the lighting of my overhead light was really good, and I could easily see the numbers on this one. So I'm pretty sure I make a pretty quick cut. So passed it through a few times just to make sure I did cut it. And I was pretty happy with that. I got a nice clean cut. So now I'm placing my piece of card inside the two pieces of acetate, and I'm just checking that my cut was correct and that I'm happy with the overall size of the acetate. And so now I'm just trying to line the corners up, trying to line everything up, position the vintage piece so that it sits nicely in the middle. So I'm happy, and now I'm going to play around with it a little bit more, but I'm well, at this point in time, I'm actually cleaning all my fingerprint marks off it, trying to get it as clean as I can. It's hard when you handle acetate. Can't help it, but you know, I'm cleaning it so that at least the inside is clean, and then I'm going to try and handle it as least as possible when I sandwich it in between the two pieces of acetate. So give it another bit of a clean, bit of a polish. And still cleaning. I can be a bit fussy. So it's a Saturday afternoon here. I've done my shopping, and we watched a bit of TV together, and then I'm just now in my craft room, and I'm in between projects, so it's a nice time to just tidy up a little bit, and maybe, you know, do a couple of small little projects. I'm in the middle of filming for my Halloween journal, so yeah, I just wanted to knock off this little project. So I've just grabbed these little clips, which I find really good, and they help a lot when you're trying to piece things together, especially when you want to run it under the sewing machine, because you obviously can't put safety pins or dressmaking pins rather on a project like this. So I'm lining it up again and getting it all straight, and thinking about, again, as I was mentioning before, where I want my zipper foot to run down. So now I start putting my little mini clamps. I got these on Amazon, by the way, a really big packet of them. I think it was like 50, and they were really cheap, and I find them really good to use for projects and just clamping bits of paper together, and especially when you're making ephemera and you lay it all out and just clamping them down, it's really, really helpful. So getting everything square and lined up, so I'm pretty happy with all of that. So now I'm thinking about how I'm going to make a hinge, because as I said, I don't have a particular journal in mind for this, but I just know that, you know, that little piece of paper, just that pretty paper lace, is catching on things, and I just want to protect it. So I want to make it in a manner that I can use it and pick it up and put it inside a signature later on, and I would like it to be part of the signature. So I'm just pulling out some little bits of muslin and calico that I have, and just seeing, you know, what would be the good colour. And also I like the frayed edges of this one. I also found some lace from an old top that I've been cutting into, and I thought that would look nice as well. So I've cut that down to size, and I'm just placing it. And now I'm just grabbing my little piece of cloth. It's almost like, I guess it would be like, I was thinking it would make good mummy cloth. Not that I've ever seen that, but it just really frays a lot, and it's very, very thin. So I think it's going to look really good. So I'm cutting it down to size. As I say, measure twice and cut once. So after this video, I'm going to just spend an afternoon relaxing and crafting, and then tomorrow I will spend a bit more time with my Halloween sort of special journal, and I'll create some more videos. But this afternoon, after this, I'm just going to relax and just do my own crafting, put my podcast on, and just listen and just spend a few hours just in my own little world. That's why I love doing this. So I'm just cutting it down, and I'm just, you know, piecing it all and fraying it, and I'm just placing it down, matching it up, and now I'm just working at clamping it down. So I'm just getting everything lined up, and now I'm just turning it around and just fiddling around with it a little bit, just to sort of see how I can visualize it in the signature, and I don't want to cut off the picture. So I'm just using my glue, my art glitter glue. I mean, once it's all stitched down, it doesn't matter if the glue sort of starts to lift up. I'm only using a little bit because art glitter glue can smear on acetate, so I just want to be really careful that I don't put too much glue on that it's going to make a real mess of the acetate. So just a few dots here and there, and I'm just very careful as I place it down. I'm just grabbing a little cloth and I'm just wiping very carefully, just as best I can, just lifting up while it's still a little bit wet, and just cleaning the little bit of the glue residue away. So now that I've got that down, I'm just working my way around it, and I'm just gluing a little bit more. I start gluing, but then I realise that I probably don't really need to, because the zip footer is going to run down there and secure it with the stitching. So just a bit more cleaning. Pretty happy with that. So I grab my piece of fabric and I place it down, line it up, just work out which way I like it, and then when I tore it, it bunched up a little bit, so I'm just flattening it out again. I'm just pulling it across just to get the strings, you know, the threads of the fabric just flat again, because it was kind of puckering. So now that I have worked out where I want it, I'm just popping a little bit of glue down. I wasn't being heavy-handed or anything with the glue. It was just to really keep it in place while I was stitching. I think when I put it down and as I kind of lifted my hand away, it came up again, so I'm just giving it a little bit more glue. Just gently patting it down just so it can kind of grip a little bit. So now turning it over, there's the other side, and I'm now repeating the process again on the other side. So just run a little bit of glue down and then just pat it. Now I will say that I probably should have paid a little bit more attention to this, because that side did pucker up a little bit, but I did have a fix for it. So it turned out all good, as we have to do when we junk journal. If there's a happy accident, we have to figure out a way to fix it, and I was very happy with the end result. So now I'm just checking that I'm happy with the way that the acetate is looking on each side. So I just decide I'm going to trim it a little bit just to try and neaten it up, just so that the it just aesthetically looks right. Okay, so I think I'm pretty happy with the placement of everything, and pretty soon I believe we start heading over to the sewing machine. I was really pleased with the way I set up my sewing machine, actually, so I will be able to do some sewing tutorials now. For my first effort, I was actually pretty happy. So I'm using a zigzag. I adjusted my length and my width of my stitch, and I just used a ivory coloured thread, and I'm just making a start over where the fabric is, and then I'm just carefully coming down. I've got my speed on very slow. My sewing machine is a Benina and it's a B330. Now I can, I've got a foot for it, but I can also manually do it. I've got a little button that I can press that will start my, which I'm just pressing now, which will start my stitching, and then I press it again and it stops. And then I've got another little, like a little lever, and I can make it go faster or slower. So I've got it on a pretty slow speed here because I just don't want it running away from me. I want to be really careful that I get everything lined up. I'm trying my best to be as straight as I possibly can. So I turn the corner and come down again. So I'm pretty excited about this. I've done a couple of bookmarks, and and also I had some old $2 and $1 notes which I enclosed them in some acetate as well. So I'm really liking this as another layer of adding ephemera and pieces to my junk journals. So I come around again, do another stitch. The first time I did this, I just did normal stitch, and I just thought it looked a little bit too heavy, and I did it in black as well. And I didn't like the look. So I've done about maybe half a dozen pieces now, so I'm pretty happy with the light coloured. I guess each project is going to be different, but in this one obviously I chose the light colour thread, but I'm liking the larger stitch. So nearly finished. I think I decide that I just want to go an extra stitch because I can kind of see ahead, and I want, as I come down, I want to meet the other stitching. So nearly done. I love stitching on paper. So here we are. I've got my lovely piece of ephemera and it's enclosed in acetate, and I've got the ability now to hinge it into something. Here's a demo. Couple of pieces of paper. So I pick up my vintage piece and just place it down, and now I can attach something to the other side down the track. I'm pretty happy with that. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this quick little process video and repairing and restoring some old vintage ephemera. Thank you. Bye.